Welcome to BusinessWise, the show that puts you in the driver's seat, putting you in control of your business and indeed of your life. Utilizing effective tools of management as developed by L. Ron Hubbard. Our guest today, Tom Cummins, CEO of Consumer Sales Solutions, an 800 personnel company. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Good to have you aboard, Tom.
Thank you, Artie.
Good, you're welcome. You know, tonight's show is all about coordination.
Right.
I've asked you on as a guest because I know that 300 employees entails a bunch of coordination.
And massive, no doubt about it.
Tell us a little about Consumer Sales Solutions.
Well, I mean, the company is it's about 5 years old. We're in the energy industry. It recently deregulated here in the United States. We also work in international markets as well. I have about 300 employees. About 200 of them are sales reps that call all over America, getting people to switch their natural gas or electricity from one supplier to another, and about 100 administrators. We've, over the years, signed up over 1 million customers or switched over 1 million different customers. So there's a tremendous amount of coordination where we're doing about 5,000 to 8,000 new switches a week. So there's a tremendous amount of controlling all the new sales reps coming and going. And
now, when you say switching, meaning that the deregulation allowed companies like yourselves to move into the energy market and therefore provide better pricing, better services to what used to be.
It's in different parts of the United States. It's not across the country like, let's say, telecommunications was. But I work for large utility companies, kind of being their sales agent, if you will, going out there, building the sales force, and bringing them new customers in these expanding markets for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know this has been a very highly successful company, and you've been written up in the magazines for your marketing prowess, for the sales. Give me an idea of what you base this on. Where did all this success come from?
The success? Well, it's a lot of hard work. I have to start with that. We got into it. I basically kind of invented this whole thing because it was brand new. I'd seen an article in the Wall Street Journal. I said, hey, that reminds me of, and I just started investigating it and learning about it. And next thing you know, I started a company, and it just took off. And as they say, we've never looked back. Yeah.
Okay. And then this is not your first successful company either.
Third.
Third one.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. What led you to becoming an entrepreneur? What was the motivation behind that?
Well, it's when I was about 24, I started my first company. I was working and I was in the office and computer supply business, and I had an opportunity through a relative. He says, well, why don't you just do it yourself? I go, I need the back. And he goes, I'll give it to you. And I started off a little green behind the ears. And fortunately for me, I was at that point in time, I started learning about the Hubbard Management system. And there's a phenomenal amount of tools available to take somebody who doesn't know about business and learn the very specific points that you have to know, you have to learn in order to be successful. And I've applied those to my life and my business, and I think the results speak for themselves.
So obviously you're making the point that one learns management. It's not something you're born with.
It was not a gift from my father,
right,
I assure you.
Yeah, it wasn't in the genes,
no,
not that way.
no.
Some of us are born with administrative dysfunction.
No.
Doctor told your parents, I'm sorry to tell you this, your child won't be a manager? No.
Actually, the proof is part of our success is to take people who come through. I mean, there is a part you have to have. And it's part of the individual himself, and there's a willingness. You have to have a certain willingness, a certain work ethic. No education can replace those two things. But if you give me a guy who doesn't know, but he's willing and he has a good work ethic, I can turn him into a crack manager. There's no doubt about it. I've done it many times.
Right.
It is the key to my success.
Good point. And in fact, Hubbard makes it clear that the willingness is senior to ability. So it makes a good point. All right, now you've been utilizing the Hubbard Management technology in the growing of the business.
Right.
We know that there are millions and millions of words that Hubbard has written on this subject of management. If you had to select out, and again, because we're talking about the theme of coordination, if you had to select out a few points and technical points that you've used to build the company, what might they be?
It's a broad question. You know, from my viewpoint, you say coordination. I could take it down to another word. Let's call it teamwork.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know a businessman in the world that doesn't wish that his whole team, 300 people is a lot of employees. There's companies out there with 30,000. And to get that, everybody moving in the same direction and actually working towards the common goal and knowing what each other is doing and having their actions be coordinated, if you will, is a dream of any executive.
How do you do that?
Hey, well, it's an interesting thing. I think it starts with me. I'm the senior executive of the company.
Right.
And I have a hierarchy of junior executives, and they have a hierarchy, and then it goes on down below. And I think, you know, and I've talked to a lot of executives, I actually see what happens when I promote someone into an executive position. They kind of get this idea that, like the pyramid, and all their juniors are down below them, and they're up on top, and they're there to service them, and they kind of kick back and enjoy the ride, right? It's the furthest thing from the truth, because you're there as an executive to serve them. It's inverted. Your juniors are above you, if you will, in the pyramidal type viewpoint, and they're depending upon you. I liken a good executive like a good parent. You know, they know what's going on with their children. They know when their children are happy or sad, doing well or doing poorly. A good executive knows when his staff are doing well, if they're happy, if they're sad, if there's something bothering them. It is an executive's duty, and Mr. Hubbard has pointed out, it's the welfare of those who he has been giving responsibility for. Is his or hers. And I mean, it's not something you take lightly. You know, any industry, I don't care, I've never seen one that doesn't go through peaks and valleys. You know, in the energy industry right now at this taping, it's going through some tough times. And we take a lot of pride of taking care of our people during these tough times and making sure that they're surviving. And it's just not an employee number. That's a family there.
Right. Gotcha.
So taking that, we have, there's a policy wrote, and it's called the model hat for an executive, hat being like job duties. And what is the thing of an executive? It's one of my prime policies I read, and he talks about the tonality, the feeling, the what state or condition.
This is a piece written by Hubbard.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the best ones that I love it, actually. And, you know, making sure that the group, and I don't mean happy as in gay, but is actually content with their work, and they know about the survivability of the company. They're part of it. It's getting back to that teamwork. You get coordination by putting a team there to which to coordinate with. You have to have a team, or how do you have coordination?
Good point.
Exactly.
How's it done?
Well, first of all, I think one of the key things is the willingness to share information. I notice in most large corporate, I deal with most of my companies that I deal with are billion-dollar corporations, and they are so tight-lipped on the information, it's not even funny. Even though all the information comes from the bottom up, and it goes from the bottom and rises to the top, they don't let the left hand know there isn't even a right hand, much less what it's doing. They keep it in the dark. We operate exactly the opposite. Any good business, and as I've learned through my Hubbard Management systems, they work off of a strategy. Currently, you're either doing really well and you have a strategy to keep yourself doing well, or sometimes you hit rough times and you have a strategy how you're going to get back up to a better times. The group needs to know what that strategy is.
So the strategy is made and shared.
It has to be. It's not only just shared, you have to solicit their agreement on it. It's not like, I come down and I want you to hit the bricks.
Right.
It's like, good guys, these bricks need to be hit.
Right. Whereas most companies come in with a fiat. This is the way it is. Here's our strategy. Let's move forward. And some are still wondering why we're even going that direction.
Right. They don't even know. They're lost. And so you write it up. You share it with mid-management. Key thing, you say, look, Mr. Guy down there with the shovel digging the trench, could you let me know, do you think this is going to work? Do you have any input on this thing? You actually solicit their opinion.
Right.
You let them be part of the process.
But this is not a vote.
No.
So what about the guy with the shovel down there who says, all right, my opinion is we shouldn't be doing this?
Right, I understand. You listen to what they have. You can't sit there. I see too many times, especially in marketing, they get into these big ivory towers, these I know best towers, and here's the way we're going to go do it. And it's so far from what's really going on out there in the real world that they miss the boat completely. So it's not that these aren't smart men that work in these ivory towers. They need to be willing to have input from the rank and file. Again, it's part of a team.
Right.
Could you liken a coach a football coach, completely removed from the football field? He's back in the locker room, and he's got to run the game. No TV. He has to take, and he says, look, I'm going to coach the game now. How could he do it? He needs to have input from the players of what's going on. Well, a good executive will know how to receive input. He knows how to read his players. They know when they're looking, sometimes players can get stressed out and give you false information. You've got to be able to read that. There's a whole science of which he teaches in the Hubbard Management System of how to interact, build the team, and interact with them. So you build a strategy. The strategy is put in writing. There's a system called an administrative scale of importance, which is an incredible sequence of events of how does one get a strategy and lay it out to one actually achieves it.
So this is an actual tool that Hubbard developed that allows you to lay out what the strategy is and all the component parts.
Oh, it's phenomenal. So you take this scale, this tool, you put it in writing, you share it with the staff. At my company, we meet every morning at 8:30 in the morning. I have 300 staff that are ran by 17 junior executives. They all come in. They each have a part of the plan. Every morning, our week goes from Friday to Thursday. We check, well, how is your area doing? How are you doing compared to last week? What is your statistic at this point in time? Every area has a gauge to it, meaning we count the amount of production coming out of that area. We say, no, good, so part of the overall battle plan, if you will, or strategic plan, you have this assigned to you. How's it going? Is it getting well? Is there problems? We resolve it. They communicate. Other parts of the company get to hear what that area is doing. So that not only do they know there is a left hand, they know what's in it, what they should be doing, and how it works. So we go through and we do this coordination. It's only 30 minutes, but you'll be amazed at what you can do. And again, what happens by allowing them to be part of the process. I know this might sound silly, but they become part of the process. It's like involving them. They become involved. They take it personally.
Well, it sounds to me like what you've done is you've taken this subject of coordination and taken it out of the realm of a philosophical view and put the protocol in. There's a system that one follows that creates that coordination.
Right. You know what? I'll tell you something. I don't know of any business in the world where their only real true resource are people and their willingness to get their own individual job done. You could be making automobiles and your final product is cars. But I'm going to tell you something. You have an assembly line which have people working it. And if they don't know their individual job, and if they don't know what that car is that's supposed to come out the end of the assembly line, and they don't have a coordination with management, you're going to have cars that come out the end of the line that don't last, that don't sell, and you're going to have trouble.
Right. Interesting point. What you're saying is that, in essence, as the CEO, your customer are your executives.
Yeah, and my staff.
Right, and the staff overall.
Yeah. It's interesting. And again, I tried to bring an analogy on it. Most executives have a confusion that they're there to be served by their juniors. And it completely, the truth is completely the opposite. You're there to service your staff. Now, yes, you still give orders, and you give direction, and you give guidance, and you coordinate, but you do it for their welfare and the welfare of the group.
Sure. Well, it's interesting that the word administration, or the word administrator, comes from the Latin ad, meaning to, and guess what?
Serve.
Ministrare, to serve.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great point. And one puts in that attention and that care to the staff, and then they get back what they want.
Exactly.
What are some of the other mechanical activity that you do that then tends to create, or we can share with our viewers, that tends to create the coordination and therefore productivity?
Well, it starts on that Friday meeting. I mean, every meeting, morning meeting, Monday through Friday. We share with the junior executives.
That's the 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So let me just play devil's advocate for a moment, because in the clients that I work with over the years, when this is brought up every now and then, what we hear is, I don't have the time. I know that's 30 minutes times 20 staff or my 16 executives. That's a lot of production minutes.
Well, it's not during production. It's pre-production time. Most businesses work from 9 to 5. What time do I say we meet? 8:30. You know, we make the time.
Right.
We get
and you don't have trouble getting them in at 8:30.
Well, there comes rank has its privileges.
That's it, right.
You want to be an executive? We meet at 8:30.
All right.
So it's a coordination point. And I'll tell you something. They're never late. They strive, because you know what? It's again, likening it to football. If you made the NFL, how often would you not make it for practice? It's the big game.
Sure.
So you're not making it into executive management. You want to be there, especially if you're involved. If you're just to sit there and I'm going to talk for 30 minutes and give lip service, I don't think they would show up.
Which is unfortunately what most, quote, CEO executive meetings are, is somebody holds forth. They hold court. They tell everybody what's happening. Everybody's sitting there.
Bored.
Right.
Yeah. No, this isn't an
involvement. This is a different game.
Interaction. It is taking 17 component parts of my company, getting them to interact. How's personnel doing? How's finance? How's training? How's operation? How's quality control? How's sales? How's operations? How's data processing? Anybody have a problem? You need to talk to him. Boom. Here's 30 minutes. Let's hash it out. Get the plan. Is there any problems? Good. Huddle, break, go to work.
Got it. Now, there's a point I want to share here, too, because I know, being an expert in the Hubbard system myself, that Hubbard frowns upon trying to sort out the problems and solutions at the meeting, meaning that people come prepared, bring their solutions. How do you run
Well, there is
that?
everybody has to bring their tools to the show. They'd be able to tell what's going on. They know what's going on. They know it's going to be demanded of them.
That's great. Well, there are many tools that every viewer can take advantage of. They're taught at Hubbard College of Administrations around the world, certainly at the headquarters internationally in California. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back in a moment.
There's a mistake. I am more than this.
Seems okay to me, kid. Maybe you should check your math, huh? Hey there. Hey, boss. See what you got. Maybe you should check yours.
We're back with Tom Cummins, CEO of Consumer Sales Solutions. Tom, that's the exec meeting you're talking about?
Right.
Okay. Are there any other coordination activities that help to create?
Yeah, I can list them off. Every Friday morning when we start a new week at 9 a.m., the entire company comes together, and we go through all 7 divisions of the company in each area.
Hold that thought a second,
Yeah.
because you just said something significant. I want to make sure everybody gets it. You said at the end of our week, at the beginning of our new week, Friday.
Right.
Now, most companies start their week on Monday.
Right.
So how does that come?
Well, basically, I think one of the advantages of actually, I don't think, I'm positive, the advantage of the Hubbard Management System gives is we work a week to week to week, meaning we have a statistical week, which we compare week 1 against week 2 against week 3 to see, are we doing better, are we doing worse? Most companies, unfortunately, work off of quarters or yearly type things. I literally have, it's a 52-4 ratio of chances I have to improve my company by doing a weekly snapshot compared to doing it quarterly.
52 weeks as opposed to 4 weeks in a month.
Well, no, compared to 4 quarters in a year. Yeah,
Right.
that's what the advantage I have. So we stop our Thursday, and then basically because then it allows us to meet on Friday. We find if you do it on Monday, it kind of gets off to a slow start. So we just said, let's do it on Friday.
Right. So your week starts Friday. By Monday, you guys are already.
Oh, it's already in a new
cooking.
week, and there's nothing, because they work on Saturdays, and it's we're actually open 6 days. So Friday morning, we come to start the new week.
Okay.
Everybody knows payday's on Friday, so it kind of ends the old and bring in the new.
And you cover what's taken place.
Well, we go through all the areas of the company. There's actually 7 major areas of the company. Everybody tells how they are doing. Again,
Now, is this with all the staff?
Every staff member,
So
from
you got-
maintenance
you
all
got
the way to
300 there.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a busy room. And we share all information. And this is part of building a team in
Right. But
coordination.
not every person is speaking, just the heads of the...
No, they're correct. Like there's probably about 7 or 8 people that will speak representing one of the 7 divisions, right? And we share all information, financial information. How much is payroll? Payroll's $168,000 this week. Yay, It's all shared. And from a viewpoint is, if you want to build a team, you must include. If you start excluding various fractions within there, you will divide, and then they will conquer. But we include, and they feel part of it. I'll tell you, it's interesting when we have new people show up, because we're always recruiting salespeople.
They're amazed at what
They
they're
are
doing.
blown away.
Yeah,
They go,
sure.
I can't believe the owner and CEO of the company is actually not only willing to talk to me, he talks to me.
Right.
He shares the data. He says, I haven't been in... I've had, older people in their 50s, 60s that come to work and go, look, I've worked in dozens of companies and never had anyone be actually open and willing to communicate of what's going on. I feel part of a team, which is that whole part of bringing about coordination so everyone's pushing in the same direction.
Sure.
So we have that Friday morning meeting. So we bring that. The key thing I do for my staff to bring about teamwork is... at company expense, any staff member is allowed to take an hour off of post from between 9 and 5 and go into a staff college that I have built inside my company so they can learn executive skills. Because I'm going to tell you something, most of them do not, I don't care if they come to you with an MBA, unless they've been out there on the road of hard knocks, they don't know. And so what we do is kind of like, I liken it to an orchestra. Could you imagine everybody playing off a different sheet music? It would not be pretty. So what we do is we make sure that everybody has a chance to look at the same tools that senior management is working on, so they have understanding. When we talk about certain philosophies, they go, yeah, I understand, I've studied that, I had a chance to learn about it.
So in this course room, they're learning the entire Hubbard Management System,
Completely.
or there are portions of it.
Yes, what's applicable to their area of the company.
All right. So I guess what the message I'm getting is that, first of all, to be successful in a company, one has to lay the foundation.
Correct.
That means the information sharing, the coordination, and indeed the knowledge in which you're willing to invest in by allowing them this hour a day, 5 days a week, 20 hours a month, which is probably more training than many.
Right.
Those are heavy, serious investments.
Yes, it
You're
is.
taking 300 people for half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever. Tell me about the return in production. Because the argument I get every now and then is that's a lot of time, and what I usually try and explain is that every minute that you put in effectively, they'll give you back 10 minutes of production. How does that work?
You have to have, in order to be able to continually expand, you have to have competent people that you can expand to and expand from. You have to be able to create these competent staff members who know their job, who can have it. And I'll tell you something, I'll tell you a story. This is my viewpoint, because I have been, in my opinion, very understanding of what if I was an employee, how I would want to be treated.
Good
and,
point.
you know, is how I would want to be worked with. There was a time where the energy market that I'm in just bottomed out. You know, and I didn't have something happening over and creating new clients, and all of a sudden I had nothing to sell. I woke up one Friday morning, or it was a Thursday, and I had nothing to sell. And I have all these staff. I had to walk in there and say, by the way, other than you 5 that you're going to help me put the company back together, everyone else has to leave. And I actually helped them find jobs, and I had some things worked out with some competitors, and I mean, it's very tearful, but I mean, they had families, they had bills, they had, you know, all this stuff, and I went, look, I got to take care of them. I'm not going to kid you. You got to go and survive. You know, and I'm talking at that time, this was years ago, I had about 100 staff. So this was on Thursday, right? And it was all bad, and I'm crying, I'm all sad and bummed out and everything. I come to work the next day. This is Thursday. Come to work on Friday. Already, everybody was there.
I want to thank you, Tom, for coming on the show, sharing with us the application of Hubbard Management technology leading towards the success of your company. And I certainly want to invite everyone back for our show. This next show coming up will be also covering the key elements of management technology as developed by L. Ron Hubbard. Join us again. Thank you.
I believe in nature.
I believe in the spirit.
I believe in trust. Beauty.
I believe in my mom.
Strawberry ice cream.
Fortune cookies.
Chocolate.
I believe in
The Tooth Fairy.
being honest with yourself.
I believe in Santa Claus.
Aliens, of course. I believe what I want to believe.
I believe in myself.
I believe in myself. I believe in peace.